All right, so it is 1:30, so we'll go ahead and get started. So, so welcome everybody to the Community Eligibility, so CEP, Information Buffet. And I'm Maddie Parker. I'm the Operations Manager for our office. And please feel free to enter any questions that come up into the Q&A box throughout the presentation. I will hold off on answering any questions until the end of our presentation. And if I don't get to all the questions, I'll make sure to either follow up with email or we'll put some guidance out from our office. And this will be recorded and posted on our YouTube channel very soon. So during today's presentation, we will be covering a general overview of CEP, including its benefits and its challenges, the procedure for CEP, such as notification requirements, the application process, and the 4-year cycle. And we'll also touch upon the best practices and CEP outreach. So I wanted to provide some definitions of topics and acronyms that will be used throughout the presentation just to give a background. So direct certification, this means determining a child is eligible for free meals based on documentation obtained directly from appropriate state or local agency, or individuals authorized to certify that child. And that child would have to be a member of a household receiving assistance under SNAP, FDPIR, or TANF. If that child's a foster child, is homeless, a migrant child, a Head Start child, or a runaway child. Identified students are the students that are approved for free meals based on documentation of the receipt of benefits with access to at least one meal service, and these are students that are not subject to verification. The identified student percentage is a percentage determined by dividing the number of identified students during a specific period of time by the number of enrolled students during the same time period and multiplying that by 100. And you'll also see LEA being used throughout the presentation, which is just the local education agency. So what is CEP? The Community Eligibility Provision is a non-pricing meal service option for schools and school districts in low-income areas. And CEP allows the nation's highest poverty schools and districts to serve breakfast and lunch at no cost to all enrolled students without collecting household applications. So instead, schools that adopt CEP are reimbursed using a formula based on the percentage of students categorically eligible for free meals based on their participation in other specific means-tested programs. So like I said before, SNAP or TANF. And LEAs can elect CEP for 4-year cycles. So what makes CEP different? Traditional school meal programs require schools to determine each student's eligibility for free or reduced price meals, and CEP relies solely on data matching with other assistance programs like SNAP or TANF. And this removes the burden of processing free and reduced household income applications and the need to collect money from students. CEP benefits students, parents, and the school. CEP eases the administrative burden and improves program efficiency. It does so by leveraging existing data from other federal programs, and this allows CEP schools to operate more efficiently. This may result in less paperwork and lower administrative costs, and this gives food service professionals more time to focus on preparing nutritious meals their students will enjoy. CEP alleviates the need for households to submit household applications for their students to receive school meals, increasing access for eligible students whose households may fail to submit applications. Providing all students meals at no cost incentivizes participation, which may increase program revenues and support school nutrition programs. And by offering all students nutritious meals at no cost, CEP helps participating schools ensure their students enter classrooms well-nourished and ready to learn. Because all students in CEP schools have access to meals at no charge, children are not subject to the peer group stigma sometimes associated with receiving free or reduced price meals. And lastly, CEP would eliminate unpaid meal balances, and no child at a CEP school will ever be denied a meal due to negative account balance. So now we can talk about some challenges that come up when operating CEP. Participation in CEP is a local decision and one that requires careful consideration of many factors by the LEA. For some LEAs, this may include assessing CEP's potential impact on Title I allocations. Title I funds are allocated to school districts based on census data, not on school meal applications. Participation in CEP does not alter census data, and in most cases, will not decrease the Title I funding allocated to school districts. Some LEAs, however, may use school meal data to allocate Title I funds within the district. In some cases, CEP participation may impact how Title I funds are distributed to schools. Schools can collect alternate income forms for education funding information, but food service cannot be involved in the collection of these alternate income forms. More information on alternate income forms can be found in the CEP Implementation and Guidance USDA resource, which I have linked at the end of this presentation. Or if you want to reach out to me, I can send that to anybody as well. So some additional challenges that might come up is that the ISP may not be high enough for the reimbursements to offset the cost of providing free meals to all students. And non-federal funds must be used to cover the cost of serving students meals at no cost. Therefore, the SFA must be financially viable before they can elect into CEP. SNAP and direct certification rates may not have been checked frequently in the year prior to CEP election to maximize the ISP and reimbursements. So now we'll get into how your district or your school can be eligible for CEP. Schools, groups of schools, and LEAs with a minimum identified student percentage, so ISP, of at least 25% as of April 1st of the school year prior to implementing CEP are eligible to apply. The LEA must participate in or agree to participate in the National School Lunch Program and School Breakfast Program for the duration of the 4-year cycle and have a record of administering the meal program in accordance with program regulations as indicated by the most recent administrative review. So the grouping of schools is a flexible characteristic of CEP and can be used to maximize federal reimbursement. LEAs can group school sites and calculate the ISP for the group using the combined enrollment and total number of identified students. The ISP for the group must be at least 25%, but individual sites can have a less than 25% ISP. So here is a grouping example. In this example, there are 3 schools in an LEA that are grouped together. So school 3 would not qualify to participate in CEP given their standalone ISP. But when grouped with higher ISP schools, such as school number 1 and 2, now all 3 schools can qualify. With this grouping configuration, schools 1, 2, and 3 would all have a combined ISP of 34.64%. In this example, there are 5 schools that are grouped together in the same LEA. And as you can see by the aggregate ISP for the 5 schools, this grouping would also qualify for CEP, and their combined ISP would be 37.37%. So now we'll talk about meal counting and claiming. The identified student percentage is multiplied by a factor of 1.6 to determine the percent of total meals served that will be reimbursed at the federal free rate. The remaining percent of total meals reimbursed will be at the federal paid rate. The claiming percentages are rounded to 2 decimal points. And the difference in the cost must be covered by the district and/or site, and this must be done by using non-federal funds. So CEP is designed to be financially viable for schools and districts in high poverty communities with high proportions of free and reduced price eligible students that participate in needs-based assistance programs. USDA highly encourages schools to determine the cost of operating CEP by taking into account their ISP number, expected participation if all meals are offered at no cost, and available non-federal funding sources. The school or grouping of schools with an ISP of at least 62.5% will have all meals served reimbursed at the federal free rate. The USDA's estimator tool can help LEAs in schools assess the financial impacts of CEP by comparing an estimated federal reimbursement under CEP to the federal reimbursement received under standard operating procedures. The estimator tool will also be linked at the end of this presentation. And again, I can send that out to anybody that wants that. And like I said, non-federal funds must be used when the total level of federal assistance, so those meal reimbursements and USDA foods received, is less than the cost of providing all students free meals. Examples of non-federal funds include state or local funds, in-kind donations, and non-federal grants. Now we'll move on to the CEP procedures and the application process. The next two slides will explain the important dates LEAs should be aware of this spring. The first two important dates for CEP are April 1st and April 15th. On April 1st, the minimum ISP must be established by LEAs for determining eligibility and the claiming percentages to be used. State agencies are required to send out information regarding CEP by April 15th of every year. By May 1st of each school year, the state agency must make the following information available. Schools and LEAs with an ISP of at least 25%, schools and LEAs with an ISP of less than 25%, but greater than or equal to 15%, and schools and LEAs currently in year 4 of the community eligibility provision with an identified student percentage that is less than 25%, but greater than or equal to 15%. And by June 30th, interested and eligible LEAs must have notified our office of their intent to participate in CEP for school year 25-26. So for the application process, eligible LEAs that meet at least one of the following criteria must formally apply to participate in CEP for school year 25-26. So any LEAs that are electing CEP for the first time, LEAs in the mid-year cycle of CEP, LEAs currently in year 4 of the CEP cycle with an ISP greater than or equal to 25% and would like to start a new 4-year cycle, and LEAs currently in the 4th year of CEP participation with a new calculated ISP greater than or equal to 15%, but less than that 25%. And just to note, LEAs that reach the required 25% threshold as of April 1st of the grace year are eligible to begin a new 4-year cycle in the following school year. LEAs that do not meet the threshold as of April 1st of the grace year must return to standard counting and claiming or elect another special provision option and must collect school meal applications in that following year. The CEP application process includes submitting the 3 required documents to our office. So one being the CEP participation worksheet for 25-26, which I'll show an example of on the next slide. A master enrollment file that includes the total enrollment, and the CEP student identification list. And the LEA must use our office's CEP student identification list to submit the names of identified students for CEP. And again, that will be linked at the end of this presentation. And upon approval of these documents, our office will generate and distribute the LEA's CEP addendum to the permanent agreement that you all submit when you submit your NSLP application. And again, I did link all the application materials here, which you'll have when the slides are sent out. So here's the CEP participation worksheet. So there is a different tab in the Excel document for each type of CEP participation. So whether you're participating in CEP by a school site, a group, or participating by the district. And here is an example from school year 23-24 of the participation worksheet, and it's showing a grouping of 3 schools. So the combined ISP for these 3 schools is 41.67, and multiplied by that 1.6 multiplier gives all 3 of these schools a 66.67% free claiming percentage and a 33.33 paid claiming percentage. So these would be the claiming percentages that would be used at all 3 of these sites. And for the purposes of reporting, this ISP will be each of the school's free and reduced data that each site would report out. So here is an example from a past school year of an individual school site worksheet. So as you can see here, one school is entered into the worksheet, and this example school has an ISP of 62.5. So they hit that sweet spot, resulting in 100% of meals being reimbursed at the federal free rate. So now we'll talk more about the 4-year cycle. So within the 4-year cycle, the ISP is not required to be recalculated every year, but LEAs must continue to data match SNAP records and student enrollment. ISP can be adjusted each year if it benefits the LEA or the site based on April 1st data. The LEA should contact our office to confirm the higher ISP and follow the steps to begin a new cycle. A grace year or a 5th year is available to LEAs and sites in year 4 with an ISP less than 25%, but greater than or equal to 15%. And LEAs and sites may return to standard counting and claiming at any time during the school year. So the ISP may need to be recalculated before the 4-year cycle is complete due to changes in attendance boundaries or addition or departure of a school site. For any student population changes that occur mid-year, the SAU or the group of schools or individual school may continue claiming meals using the previously identified ISP for the remainder of the school year. If the SAU, group of schools, or school experiencing a mid-year change wants to continue electing CEP in the next school year, the ISP must be recalculated using the most recent April 1st data. A new 4-year cycle would start the next school year using the new ISP as the basis for meal claims. LEAs electing to participate in CEP must retain implementation records for each of the participating schools for current year plus 3 fiscal years after the submission of the last monthly claim for reimbursement, which employed base year data. Audit findings may require greater than 3-year record retention. If the LEA or school site is unable to maintain sufficient records, the state agency may require the school to return to standard meal counting and claiming procedures and or take fiscal action. So here you'll see a list of the records that need to be kept on file. So data used to collect or calculate the ISP, total number of breakfast and lunches served and claimed, the percentage that was used to claim the meals, any information on non-federal funding sources, and the data that was used to establish a new cycle for CEP. And now we can talk about exiting CEP. So LEAs or sites can go back to standard notification, certification, and counting and claiming procedures at any time during the school year or for the following school year if those standard procedures better suit the school's needs. Schools must offer students reimbursable free meals for greater than or equal to 30 operating days following the date of restoration or until a new eligibility is determined. And schools should make sure to notify the public and meet requirements for certification and verification. For students transferring from a provision school to a standard counting and claiming school, guidelines apply within district and between districts. Students that transfer from a provision school must receive free meals for up to 10 days or until a new eligibility determination is made. So whichever comes first. And districts may permit children transferring from provision schools to receive free meals for up to 30 days. And free meals served under these circumstances may be claimed at the federal free rate, but just always make sure to check with our office if there's any questions on this process. And now for CEP outreach. So here are a list of some key stakeholders and partners for CEP. So a board of education or school committee meetings, your school administrators, school food service staff, parents, our office, of course, and then state legislator. And some ways to promote CEP could be at PTO or PTA meetings, on the district's website, social media pages, and then at a booth or at any school events. And then here are some pages that you can find some great CEP resources on. And then the community eligibility page of our website, the application materials, the names of them are there, but they'll be linked once those are ready for this coming school year because those won't be ready until about April. And thank you guys all for coming. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them into the Q&A box. Or if you want to email them to me too, that's fine.